Today I wanted to take the time to review another set of infrared video goggles produced by Vesticam. And I want to thank the folks over at Vesticam for sending over some goggles for me to test drive and to actually use in my clinic. It has been something invaluable and a really, really great asset to use. So I'd like to share with you a little bit about the goggles, what features that I've liked, what have worked well, and the versatility of this set. I hope you guys enjoy. Let's take a closer look at the Vesticam goggles. So you have basically swim goggles to start. So they have a little bit of a 3D printed platform on top, and on the back you can see a nice rubber seal that's going to help provide your patient with total blackout when you remove fixation. The straps are really easy to adjust. There is a little button at the top here that you can push and pull, and then when you need to tighten, you just pull the little tabs. Very easy. I generally ask my patients to put them on like a pair of swim goggles, and then I can adjust my camera from there. If you look at the camera, there are all different slots that you can put on the goggles themselves. So you just have to line up the little holes with the screws to kind of position them on the patient's eye. So you can have it more adjusted to the right, more adjusted to the left. You would just line them up over the little holes here, slide down to lock it in place. Once you decide where you want on the goggles for that camera to sit, you can still make finer adjustments with side to side, up and down, as well as pulling out and in to focus the image on the patient's eye. So very easy to use, very easy to adjust. You just have to really make sure you line up all of those holes so they sit flush and there's no gapping between the camera and the goggles. And then when it comes to blocking fixation, you have a separate piece here that again has those holes that you would just line up with the little screws and then push down to lock in place. So when you've got everything put on the front of the goggles, the patient's completely in darkness. But the nice thing is too that I really, really like about this model is you don't necessarily have to take the cover on and off in order to remove or add fixation. You can also hit a little button to turn a light on over the camera inside the set of goggles. If you're using this set, I would just recommend always checking with the patient to make sure they are in the dark and that there's not a light on. Because a couple of times, whether the way the camera's been sitting on my counter or the way it's been picked up, I accidentally hit that little button on and I'm not aware of the fixation being turned on for the patient during some of my testing. So I've just gotten into the habit of once I remove fixation for maybe spontaneous testing, spontaneous nystagmus testing, I'll ask them if there's anything else in there, whether it's a light or anything like that. Next, I'd like to demonstrate how I ask my patients to get the goggles on and off and how we adjust. So I've got Kelly here to help me out. And I typically leave the camera on just to make things a little bit more simple, but I'll leave the fixation cover off just so they can kind of still see what's going on in the room. I will typically loosen the straps up a good amount just to make sure that we accommodate getting it on their head and that the rubber strap doesn't catch too much hair. And then I'll ask the patient to put them on like they're putting on a pair of swim goggles. So you can go ahead and put those on like you would put on a pair of swim goggles. You can start on your face or your forehead and then pull that strap over. Good. Once you get those over your eyes, I just easily pull these little tabs on the side here just to make sure they're nice and snug. Very easy. All right, do those feel like they're nice and snug?
Yes.
Okay, good. So once I have her into position, then I would look to my PC where I currently have them hooked up and I can make my camera adjustments. So just by looking at my computer, I can make sure that the eye is centered in my video, and then I either pull the camera out or push it in order to focus the image on my screen. Once we're here, everything looks good. It looks like it's secure. I can then go through some of my testing bedside, including just spontaneous nystagmus in different gaze positions. And then when I want to remove fixation, I just take my little cover, place that over the appropriate screws, and then I'll ask my patient, is there anything that you can see in there, any light?
No.
All right, good. So that's pretty much how I get my patient set up and go through testing with the goggles. There's a couple of things I'd like to point out that kind of set these set of goggles apart from other goggles that I've used. So one thing that I really, really like is that you notice the nose piece with the goggles doesn't come anywhere near the bridge of the patient's nose. It's not required to cover that part in order to block fixation. The reason why I like this is because a lot of people have a lot of different shaped noses, and sometimes that nose piece on different goggles can actually be a source of light leakage. So here, it's not uncomfortable for the patient. The goggles actually don't touch the bridge of the nose of the patient at all. We don't get any nose pinching. I love the rubber seal that goes around the each individual eye socket. I feel like this has been really helpful for people with different shaped heads, but it's also very easy to clean. That also includes cleaning the rubber straps that it gets pulled over the patient's head. They're easy to adjust, easy to release. With the rubber, there is a little bit of hair pulling depending on how patients try to pull those straps over the head, but usually I could have them, I can help them out a little bit if they hold the goggles while I pull the strap over their head for them. The neat thing about this set too is it's very customizable. So just like you have the same set of screws on either eye, you can take the camera off easily and switch it to the other side pretty quickly. And that also gives you a setup to potentially add a second camera if you want a binocular view. Right now we have set up here is just the binocular view with one camera over one eye. And again, since they have the screws are the same, I can also block fixation even when the camera is on the opposite side. It's very easy to use, very lightweight. The profile of the goggles is pretty shallow, so I feel comfortable using this during all of my repositioning maneuvers with patients, so I can watch their nystagmus throughout the entire maneuver. If you decide to use the PC route, there is free software that is used to show you the image of the eye. The thing that I really like about this is it's very customizable, and you'll get a little handout with exactly how to customize your screen. So the setup here is the setup that I really like. I've got a really big view of the eye. I have a little small room camera in the corner, and you can set up your labels to be personalized as well. So I like having Vesticam's name down here just because they are their goggles and they're fantastic. So anytime I share the video, I want to make sure you guys are knowing what I'm using in the clinic. I also have it set so that it says room up at the top here for my room view. But one thing I liked about this is if you are maybe new and you have a hard time watching these videos and remembering which way is right, which way is left during evaluation, you can label your screen however you want. So you can drop little labels that say left, little labels that say right to kind of keep you oriented. If you have a binocular view, you can have both eyes up there and adjust where you put that room camera around the screen, even if you want it at all. So this has actually been really fantastic to use. Simple, easy. You can hit fast keys if you want, hotkeys to start recording, stop recording. You choose where it saves your files, either it's on the computer or on an external hard drive. And you can even control what form of file it's saved in. So because I like to download the videos and put them into videos on social media, or for when I'm teaching, I can just download them right from the software without having to convert the file. So this program has actually been really great to use, and is also used by Vestibular First's platform with their goggles. So I can actually toggle back and forth between my preferences of whether I'm using goggles from Vestibular First or my Vesticam goggles. So I wanted to show you guys a little bit of what my setup is like using the PC with the Vesticam goggles. So you can see in the corner over there, I have the PC that has a hard wire to the goggles where my patient is sitting on the edge of the bed or in the middle of the bed behind me. And then that PC has an HDMI cable to a TV that I have mounted at the wall. So if I'm sitting at the end of a bed with a patient and I'm working on positional testing or repositioning maneuvers, I can have the patient here securely with two hands on their head, and I can see my image right up on the screen in front of me. So something that is absolutely fantastic and great about the set of goggles is the versatility of how you can utilize them. So think of this of somebody who goes into home health or goes from place to place or just doesn't want to invest in a computer. You can actually use the goggles connected right to a phone, which comes with the set of goggles. It's fantastic. So they have this cool little app, and they also have a way for you to Airstream it. So for a while, when I kind of want to be cordless, I didn't want to have a cord hooked up to the computer, I can Airstream my view right to my computer, which again goes up to my screen behind me. So you can view the videos that are saved locally on the phone, or you can go to camera view. And that is going to give you the camera view right from the goggles into the phone. It comes with a nice lanyard that you can actually hang the phone around the patient's neck during testing so that you don't have to worry about that moving around or holding on to it or where it is on the table. It does get a little tricky to use the phone with the lanyard if you're doing repositioning maneuvers with the goggles on and trying to record, but it will usually works out pretty well. Now that I have Kelly here, what I'm going to ask her to do first is take the lanyard with the phone and put that over her head. Thank you. Okay. And then we'll get her set up with the goggles. So you can put those on like you would put on a normal pair of swim goggles. There you go. Good. All right, once we get her all adjusted and set up here, then I can just hit view from camera. All right, and I'll look on my screen, which I have currently aircasted from the phone to the computer and then hooked up to my monitor. I will then use the little toggle to get all set up. And then once we're ready to roll, I can just hit the little record button right on the screen and we're good to go. So I just wanted to show you guys quick some cool features of the app. They save the videos locally if you're using the phone, and when you go back to replay them, you have a couple of different really cool options. There's a slow-mo mode, so you can watch some of your testing and put it in slow mode to see if you can tease out some of the things a little bit differently if the video is slowed down. But then you can also send them and share them to other different means. So you want to keep your patient's privacy in mind and you want to be HIPAA compliant, but you can either text it to a patient, you can add it to any sort of Google Drive or cloud, and you can kind of save the patient's videos that way or send them off to the doctor or have any other sort of way or means of sending them out if they need to be sent out for review. So there's a lot of cool options in that sense where you can kind of go back, watch in slow-mo, or send out by any other means if you need to get that video out to a different clinician or the patient themselves. I want to round out my review with a couple of extra little things that make these goggles that much more awesome and unique in their own way. First of all, and this is actually what I've been using in the clinic, you can get a 2-meter extension cable to attach to the goggles and then to whatever device you're using, whether that's the phone or a laptop on a nearby desk. And on the phone, if you decide to attach the cable in order to do your videos, it comes with a little kickstand in the back. So you can set this on the desk or a side table or a cart near you and your patient with the extended cable in order to effectively work with them a little bit easier, having your stuff readily available. So that 2-meter extension, that cable has actually been really helpful for me in the clinic, and that's what I've been using with my patients. Also on the app on the phone, there's a really unique naming feature for the files. So you can even name the file before you start recording to include the patient's name, whatever test that you're performing, and the clinician that's performing that test, which is really, really useful. But you can also edit all of this after you record as well. So having that ability to customize the file name is important when you have to go back and look at your patients if you want to compare visits. There's also a lot of customizable features within OBS Studio, which is the free software that comes with the goggles. So you can change your screen size, your viewing size. You can also click and check what kind of things you want popped up and what you want to be viewing throughout your recording while you work with your patient. There's also little hotkeys, so you can press different keys to pull up different things that you might want as you go throughout your testing, which is pretty unique and cool. You can also change your text labels when you want to identify something specific with the patient. You can do this right through the system or the platform as it is. And Vesticam did a really good job of providing a step-by-step instruction on how to go through the software to customize it and make it your own, which is why I've kind of set up the way that I've had it set up and really, really enjoying it. So these little features are kind of little add-ons that might be missed throughout the video, but are definitely worth noting because they are important to mention when looking into buying something like this. So I highly recommend. I love the versatility of these goggles and the customizable platform that they record on. So overall, just really good job. Again, thank you to the folks at Vesticam and Suzanne Douglas. I really, really, truly appreciated being able to use these goggles and trial them for a good amount of time before writing this review. It has been something that has been a joy to work with, and I've truly enjoyed it. You guys should check out Vesticam at www.vesticam.com, and you should also subscribe to their awesome quarterly newsletters that pulls together a lot of great resources for all you vestibuloholics out there.